The new president of the company always focused on me. He changed cities and companies, was close to me just to beg me to talk to him more. Just as I begged him not to divorce me 6 months ago. At the staff meeting, the supervisor smiled a fawning smile and said into the microphone, "Let's use the warmest applause to welcome the Vice President of North England, Mr. Xavier Fox, officially transferred to this division." For a moment, I was in a bit of a trance, thinking I had heard the wrong name. Until Xavier in a tight suit, with a majestic and reserved temperament, slowly appeared in front of the stage. I realized that I hadn't misheard. Wow shit, Mr. Fox turned out to be so young and handsome. I always thought it was a bad old man. I heard he's divorced, childless, a proper diamond in the rough. His ex-wife is blind, such a quality man. If it were me, I would definitely hold on to it firmly. T-esque, stop dreaming. Can a president look at a small staff like us? The colleagues were talking about Xavier, and some of them could not wait to go up and ask for contact information. What's wrong with Chen Yun? Why don't you look at a handsome guy? I calmly looked down and organized my papers and said, "Didn't think it was handsome, it was average." My coworker glanced at me and muttered in a low voice, "Just an older leftover girl that no one wants. What's the point of pretending to be noble?" I laughed and pretended I didn't hear it. The raffle was next, and the grand prize was a smart air conditioner. When the winner was announced, Xavier's throat moved and he slowly spat out 2 words. "Chen Yun." His eyes were fixed straight in the direction I was in. People were turning their heads to look at me with envy and jealousy in their eyes. "Yo-yo, help me receive my award, will you? I'm not feeling well, I'll leave first." I picked up my clothes and left the venue straight away. I know what Fu Chengzhou's eyes mean. I know him too well. After all, I'm the same ex-wife who knew him for 7 years, was married for 3 and divorced. Xavier and I met in college. He was from the north, from a poor family, but worked hard and eventually got into this 211 in the south. He said he loved the southern climate and the customs of the southern cities. He was handsome and tall, fair-skinned, with a light floral scent on his clean white shirt, and sat in a corner of the classroom shining until he glowed. Naturally, a lot of people liked him, including me, of course. I was bold enough to hit on him and ask him high math questions he didn't know. Take him to a hot pot outside of school and watch him get so spicy he's on the verge of tears. I'm happy as a friend. But I didn't go any further, carefully nursing my friendship with him. Until a club event to play Truth or Dare. I lost and picked Dare. I was instructed to kiss a boy I had just met for 5 minutes. The demands were outrageous and I was just about to have a seizure. Xavier, who had always been gentle-tempered, stood up and splashed the instructor's face with wine. His tone was cold and his gaze was stern. "Put away your nasty thoughts. Zhao Yun is not someone you guys can casually joke about like that." After that, he took my hand and left there. Xavier walked forward without a word. His hand was soft and warm. "Thank you, I'll go back to my dorm room." I wrenched his hand away, not wanting him to see the blush that had long been on my face. He turned his head to look at me, his eyes hot and bright. "I like you. Want to be with me? As long as I'm around, I won't let anyone bully you. I'll cherish you and protect you." There is no greater temptation in the world than when the boy you have a crush on, with the most heartfelt words, says to you, "I like you." I admit it, I'm stuck. Xavier is very good to me, and he is with him time flies, turned to graduate. Originally, we were both planning to stay local, and I had already found an art manager who promised to help me with my exhibition. Xavier also slowly began to submit resumes. On graduation day, we clasped fingers and laughed together as we threw academic caps. Just a moment after turning around, he dropped to one knee, deep in love. "Even if I have nothing, I want to give you the beauty of the world. The rest of my life is short. I just want to hold your hand and grow old. Marry me, okay?" Tears shot up involuntarily and I nodded excitedly. He put the ring on my finger and I was so nervous I could hardly breathe. There were screams all around us as we hugged sweetly. Time seemed to pause and there was only each other in our eyes. Late at night, I snuck back into the house when I saw my mom's bedroom light go dark. I remember her putting the account book in the bedroom closet and tiptoeing open the closet. After rummaging through it, I finally found it. I flashed a smile and was about to leave. The lights are on. Mom's eyes were puzzled, but her face paled when she saw what I was holding. "What are you doing with the account book?" I told the truth. "I want to marry Xavier." Xavier Mom also met. She has a good impression of Xavier. I think she may not block. But I was wrong. Mom tightened her face. "A relationship is a relationship, a marriage is a marriage, and I don't agree." "Why? Is it because he's not a local? The family is not well off and you look down on him?" And my volume unconsciously rises. Since I was a child, my mother raised me on her own, and I understood and loved her, and I never had a red face or a fight with her. But Xavier was different. Mom got even angrier and snatched the account book out of my hand. "You're still so young, and you're giving the rest of your life to a man? You must think carefully, or else." "Or what?" I looked at her with hatred and blurted out. "Or else I would have found an unfaithful man like my father like you did. To fall in love with you while long ago marrying and having children with someone else, leaving you to suffer the scorn and then finally kicking you out mercilessly." As soon as the words came out of my mouth, I regretted it. It was a scar she had buried in her heart, but it was revealed by me, her own daughter. Mom raised her hand with red eyes, but half-heartedly dropped it. "I'm sorry, Mom, but Fu Chengzhou is not that kind of person. He said that he would love me for the rest of my life." I grabbed back the account book and quickly left the house. Xavier, who was waiting downstairs, saw me crying. Heartbroken, he hugged me and covered my lips. "Thank you, Rhyme. I won't let you regret making this decision." We still got our license. The day I came home, my mom hysterically threw all my bags at the door. "No man is good, you believe whatever he says. What will you do if one day he doesn't love you anymore and drops you? Don't come back to me crying then, I don't have a daughter like you." Maybe she was just talking in anger at the time, but my stubbornness got the best of me. There will never be a day like that. I picked up my bags decisively and left the house. Like a poor puppy, hiding in Xavier's arms and crying. "Mommy doesn't want me. I don't have a mommy anymore." He tenderly wipes away my tears with his fingertips. "Come with me, Rhyme. Let's get out of here and go north. I'm your family from now on." To save money, we both chose to take the green train. 2 days and 1 night, and I was seriously dizzy. The heartache on Fu Chengzhou's face was about to overflow. "Feed me my pills, put me to bed." The voice was endlessly doting. "Sleep, baby, it's not hard when you're asleep." He got up and I subconsciously clung to him. "Don't leave me." A pair of hands gently stroked my head. "Good girl, I'll never leave you." I would never have known that there is no such thing as forever. I took the stolen account book and Xavier to get a license. There are very few careers about painting in this city, and I only went to work as a designer, often working overtime and staying up late. You also have to endure endless rewrites from the A's and meaningless lectures from the leaders. I feel heartbroken. Xavier is also very busy, leaving early and returning late, and working overtime on his days off. When it's busy, we don't talk all day. Sometimes I get the feeling that we're just partners. But I was quick to deny that we were in true love and never would be. I often dream of my mom's disappointment and sadness on her way out. I'd love to call her and ask her how she's doing. Stop taking factory night shifts for more money. Suddenly, my dream mom's face became distorted and I woke up instantly. There is some pain in the lower abdomen and something is coming out. Xavier wasn't in bed. It's hurting more and more. I'm yelling for him. After a while, Fu Chengzhou put down the phone call with the client and walked in. There was a flash of impatience in his eyes. What's wrong, Rhyme? Didn't I tell you to sleep first? This client is important to me. Until he saw me bleeding and was so shocked that he picked me up and took me to the hospital. I had a miscarriage. I didn't even know the kid existed yet. And she left me. Xavier clutched my hand guiltily. Rhyme, don't work, I can afford you. Obviously, he works harder than me, having just been promoted to company management earlier this year, and overnight work is the norm. I was about to say no when he went on. I don't want you to feel any pressure to be around me, just be happy being a full-time wife. I'll do the work and you'll do the spending. I can afford you. His eyes were firm and hot, and in a trance I felt like I was back in college the day he confessed his love. Thankfully, time passed and his love for me remained the same. I responded softly, yes. What I didn't realize was that after only 3 months, that love would fall to pieces. It didn't take long for me to be discharged from the hospital, and Xavier resumed his busy work. One day when he came back from a dinner party smelling of alcohol, I fed him a bowl of sober soup and he went to sleep. As he was cleaning up the dishes, his cell phone, which he had left on the dining room table, suddenly rang. A local number. I wanted to hang up, but ghostly, I answered it. Hello? Hello? No one answered me, and after a few seconds on the line, it hung up. It's like I heard my voice, so hang on. A strange feeling suddenly rose in my heart. I opened Xavier's cell phone. This is a first. I never liked going through his phone. I trusted him. His chats are clean, except for clients, which are top-loaded with me. I opened the search bar and searched for words like love, want, and like. Most of the messages that popped up were with me. Nothing else is out of place. When I want to put the phone down. Suddenly, something came to mind and the word "arrive home" was searched. A strange girl's avatar caught my attention. The latest message she sent was, "Are you home yet?" The girls were enthusiastic at first. Mr. Fox, I'm Zhu Xiao, the new intern. I look up to you and hope to learn more from you. Xavier's tone is very detached, only 1 or 2 words back. Girls have a strong desire to share things. Kittens met on the road, gossip heard at work. Even what I ate each day, never missing a good night. Steal a photo of Xavier's back, send it to him to see, and then exclaim that it is so handsome. Gradually, Xavier's words increased. Really cute kitten. Work hard, don't touch the fish, and feel free to ask me if you don't understand anything. Eat more, you're too skinny, there's a private kitchen that tastes good, I'll take you next time. You have a good night too. Sweet dreams. Until the other day. The girl sent him a shy emoji. It still hurts a little from last night's exertion. Fu Chengzhou returned a kiss plus hug emoji. Forget about that night, Xavier rushed out the door after receiving a phone call. He said the company had something to do. Turns out it was busy with her in bed. The date of their chat began 3 months ago, exactly the day I had my miscarriage. In 3 short months, he's changed, leaving years of affection behind. Indulge in the novelty and the thrill of cheating. The phone slipped out of his hand and the tears fell slowly. I secretly set up a shared location with Xavier's cell phone. I don't want to leave any decency. As he told me once again that he was going back to the office to get busy with work. I brought a large group of co-friends. Stormed the hotel room where he and the woman were. The funny thing is that his first reaction was to cover the woman's body with the quilt. Carefully coaxing like he did when he comforted me on the train. It's okay, don't be afraid, I'll fix it. His solution was simple, cold as a stranger, handing me some divorce papers. Even if I cheated on you, you shouldn't have brought so many people to see me laugh. It's a shame for me and a shame for you. I'm disappointed. The Chen Yun I know wouldn't have made things so ugly. Instead of receiving any apologies, I received unwarranted accusations from him. I tore up the divorce papers with red eyes and told him I would never agree to a divorce. Even if it consumes, it will consume him for the rest of his life. The coldness under his eyes increased and he spat out two words, crazy. Unexpectedly, Zhu Zhaoxiao reached out to me. She was coy, her eyes filled with fear of me. She cried pearly, begging me for forgiveness, saying that she would leave her job and quit so that I would not blame Xavier. Before I could say anything, Fu Changzhou appeared. He gritted his teeth. Talk to me if you can. What's bullying a little girl? Zhu Zhaoxiao cried harder. Shou, I'm not worth it. You'd better make up with your sister-in-law. Come with me and ignore this lunatic. He took Zhu Zhaoxiao's hand. It's worth it when I say it's worth it. I laughed. No wonder Zhu Zhaoxiao chose to meet at the coffee shop downstairs from their company, and also happened to pick the window seat. Crazy? I could be crazier. I printed out over 100 copies of the photos I caught going to the hotel that day. Pasted all over Xavier's entire company, and also sent a copy to each person. I stormed into the conference room in hysterics, tearfully crying Xavier unfaithful to marriage. We've known each other for 7 years, and 3 years of marriage doesn't compare to the 3 months he spent with his intern. Like he said, I'm a shrew. He's the one who drove me crazy. It's obvious he's all I've got. His boss suspended him with a sullen face, and his coworkers were all contemptuous. So he compromised. The job brings him money and power, and he is a fish on the verge of dying of thirst if he leaves. He broke off contact with Zhu Zhaoxiao, and it seems like we're back to the old days. It's just the same bed. I showed a strong desire to control him and made him come home from work on time and take me with him even if he had social engagements. I would mentally tighten the strings and check his cell phone line by line as soon as he got home. The slightest misstep is met with suspicion, questioning, and quarreling. Hair falling out in big clumps, full of resentment. I became what I once disdained and hated the most. Until that phone call came. Rhyme, your mom fell and had a brain hemorrhage. She's in bad shape. Come back soon. It was my sister-in-law's voice on the phone. I hung up in a panic and rushed to buy tickets for the nearest time. I hurriedly called Xavier, and he answered after a long time. What again? Didn't I tell you I was working late today? And made you a video. What the hell do you want me to do? His tone was full of impatience and reproach. My voice trembled. Mom's been hospitalized. She's in bad shape. I'm going back to see her. Will you stay with me? Xavier was silent for a long time before he returned. Good. I waited at the airport for a long time and he didn't show up. Calls to his phone went unanswered as well. If I don't board, I'm going to miss this flight home. I sighed and walked in alone. My sister-in-law lied to me. Mom's not in bad shape. When I arrived at the hospital, she's down to her last breath. Oxygen tanks sustained her depleted life. I grabbed her hand, which was brown and thin, crying bitterly, begging her not to leave me. I haven't taken you for a ride yet. You said you'd travel around with me in your old age. Don't leave me, okay, Mom? I was wrong. I shouldn't have left in the first place. I shouldn't have disobeyed you. I shouldn't have said those hellish things to you. Tears welled up in my mom's eyes and she held my hand tightly. Mouth slightly open, I moved in. Be happy. Then he closed his eyes and never breathed again. I finally broke down and hugged her and bawled. I'm very happy, Mom. Fu Changzhou is very good to me and even told me that he wants to take you over to live together. Mom, don't go. You promised to stay with me, you promised. I don't know how long I cried until my sister-in-law reminded me that it was time to say goodbye to my mom. She turned into a little box in my hand. Taking care of the aftermath, my sister-in-law told me. Every time my mom tried to call me, she was afraid it would disturb me. She regretted being tough on me then. Didn't reason with me properly. She regretted letting me go like that and not hugging me. Say, daughter, mommy can't let you go. I came home disoriented, the place where I had lived for over 20 years. Still so clean. My room furnished as it was. The walls are covered with my pictures. The bed still smells like mom. Did she sleep here for years? I curled up, shaking and hugging my pillow and sobbing. I don't really have a mom anymore. This is God's punishment for me. I've been dialing Xavier's number. I want him to come over and kowtow to his mom and say sorry with me. But they all show off. A sense of foreboding rose in his heart. I flew back to the north and there was no Xavier at home. I think that's where he went. Rain fell from the sky. As expected, downstairs at Zhu Zhaoxia's house. Xavier held the umbrella and held her hand. They didn't walk fast, as if that would keep them in time. So, Zhu Zhaoxia stopped in her tracks, looking lost. How wonderful would it be if this life, we could live it for the rest of our lives? Her nose flared and she quirked a smile. I'm sorry, I was greedy. I shouldn't have had the luxury anymore. I'm content to spend time with you these days. In the next second, Fu Changzhou swept her into his arms. His brow was full of heartache. No apologies allowed, I promise you, there will be a day. They kissed obliviously, as if they were a pair of bitter lovebirds in the rain. No amount of wind and waves can stop the love for each other. Makes me feel like I'm the one who's cutting across the line between them. Mom's dying words came back to mind, be happy. Yeah, am I happy? Trapped in a vortex of 3 people, the only one who got hurt the most was me. What have I been holding on to? Can't let go of the good old memories? But those memories, bridged with the images before them, were ironic. Can't let go of the old Xavier? But the human heart is a hateful thing that changes all the time. At that moment, I suddenly felt meaningless through and through. Wipe the tears from the corners of your eyes. Turns out forever is the most hypocritical thing to say. Early the next morning, I pushed open the door of Xavier's office. He looked up at me a little surprised. How's mom doing? There's a new project at the company and I can't get away. I'll go back with you to see mom after this busy time. See, he doesn't blush when he tells a lie. I didn't respond to his question. Taking the divorce papers out of her bag, she handed them to him. There was a flash of surprise in his eyes. The corners of his mouth went involuntarily upward as well, and his voice trembled. You're divorcing me? Really? Like a long-awaited wish is about to be realized. Xavier was a little disbelieving. The voice was full of skepticism again. What the hell do you want? I can't believe you're agreeing to a divorce so easily. What are the demands? As long as it doesn't interfere with my work, the house and car are available to you. I smiled indifferently. I just want the money. Xavier let out a breath of relief. Instead, he dropped his guard when I made the request and signed his name quickly. Without a hint of hesitation. That's ridiculous. When the cooling-off period is over, I'll see you at the civil office in a month. I turned my head and left. He called out to me. I twisted my head to look at him, and the emotions in his eyes were so complex that I couldn't see through them. There was surprise, excitement, and a bit of frustration. Chen Yun, after 7 years of relationship, I have loved you, so I hope that going forward you will be fine too. I smiled contemptuously. Stop pretending. What happens to me in the future has nothing to do with you. You'd better hurry up and tell that one the good news. Xavier's face was ugly, probably because I guessed my mind. Or maybe he was complaining about me, not even giving him this last chance to act decent. But I don't even care anymore. On the day of the license, Xavier did not look good, and he took my hand. From his expression, I couldn't even see the disenchantment. Rare. Also smack. I'll buy you dinner, okay? I promised. But after telling him he had to go to the bathroom, stealing a cab to the airport. This is my final revenge. I want him to know what it's like to wait too. It's kinda childish when you think about it. Getting off the plane, the cab driver muttered curiously, "Beauty, your luggage is so light." I only came back with one empty suitcase. It was one of my mom's coming-of-age gifts to me. It's the most precious thing I have. All other items have been tagged with Fu Chengzhou. I don't want it. Throw it all away. In my cold, empty home, I stared out at my mom's picture. Mom, I promise you, I'll be carrying your share for the rest of the day. Happiness goes on. Xavier gave me 7 figures. I just realized that he's so rich. What they say on the internet, that men get worse when they have money, doesn't seem to be untrue. I started a new life and got a new job as a designer, drawing in my free time. After all, it's always been my dream to have a painting show. It's been a busy but fulfilling 6 months. During this time, my sister-in-law had been keen to introduce me to someone. But men are mostly selfish, lazy gizmos who give but always want something in return. Poor acting. There was another odd man who just told me the day before that he would not marry me and begged me to give him a chance. It was officially announced the next day with another woman. While he was secretly spitting with Yo-Yo in the staff meeting, Fu Chengzhou appeared. I didn't think I'd meet him again. He also became my big leader. The next day I typed in my separation report. Rejected by him in seconds. Okay, I went back to my workstation and started packing. The supervisor went ballistic and walked over. The president didn't authorize your departure, so why are you leaving? Besides, the project isn't done yet? Where are your designs? I gave him a blank look. Normally, I'm annoyed with him, someone who knows absolutely nothing about design as head of design. Self-righteousness made us rewrite it, and we ended up following the first version. If not close to home, save commuting time evenings for good painting. I won't come either. What kind of look is that? What an attitude. The supervisor tugged on my hand, his face crooked with anger. Supervisor Xia, let go. Zhao Ping frowned, thinking about which little brat was out of the way, but he turned his head and saw Fu Chengzhou's gloomy face. The flames immediately subsided and bowed his back to compensate for the smile. Mr. Fox, why did you come out? I was communicating with Chen Yun. Communication needs to be hands-on? What's your attitude? Xavier's face was ugly. Zhao Ping smiled awkwardly and immediately let go. Fu Chengzhou pushed him away and walked to me. Softly. Come to my office. When I didn't move, he just took my hand and walked in. I tried to break free, his hand was too strong, it didn't work. Colleagues have cast gossiping gazes, Zhao supervisor's face is even more waxy. In the office, the atmosphere was subtle. Why are you leaving? Xavier asked me. What's the point of asking? Because of you. Xavier did not get angry, but his tone became gentle. I haven't seen you in half a year, you've changed for the better. I sneered. You've changed too, you've lost your cheek. I didn't even bother talking to him and turned to leave. He took my hand again, his eyes pleading. I could see his face close by, and his breath was a little hot, brushing the base of my ear. I'm here for you, Rhyme. Disgust churned in his chest. I just wanted to give him a big slap in the face. But I held back, afraid my hand would hurt. Then get the hell away from me for my sake, okay? Taking a deep breath, I stopped looking at him and turned away quickly. It was clear that half a year ago, his eyes had long been devoid of any semblance of emotion. And now you're pretending to be affectionate? When I got home, I fried spicy chicken. The chicken is crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, with a spicy and flavorful taste. With a small drink of your own concoction. The flavor was over the top. Xavier doesn't like this dish, and I never made it when I was with him. Now that I'm alone, I don't need to accommodate anyone's tastes. Freedom to do as you please. After cleaning up, I went to the den to paint. Rain pattered outside the window. Just the right amount of white noise to keep me more focused. I love nights like this, time alone, immersed in my own world. With a long sigh of relief, the painting is finally finished. The rain had also stopped, so I stood up, went out onto the balcony, and stretched out. Instead, his afterglow caught a glimpse of a familiar figure standing downstairs. My heart sank and my good mood was gone again. Xavier was soaked to the skin, and he looked up and stared at me without looking away. The eyes were drawn. I felt sick to my stomach and went to the kitchen to get a big pot of water and squeeze some of the cheapest paint I could find to mix in. He threw himself in his direction and closed the window with a ping. Get comfortable. After sleeping until noon, I hummed my shoes and got ready to go out. I recently put my paintings on self-publishing and got a lot of likes. A manager reached out to me and said he could help me plan the show. I had a lunch appointment with him at noon, and I heard his voice was very old, so I think he was a middle-aged man. Open the door, Xavier squatted on the ground, all wet high-grade suit stained with colorful paint. He looked tired, but at the moment he saw me, his eyes released their light. What the hell do you want? Will you please leave me alone? I was speechless. Fu Chengzhou's throat moved and he spoke with difficulty. I'm sorry, I didn't know that, Mom. She passed away. Poking me where it hurts, I stopped giving him a good look and my eyes went cold. You don't get to call it that. I called 1,000,000 times begging you to come back in the first place, and you didn't answer. Now you come to confess? Sorry, it's late. Get out of my way. Xavier grabbed my wrist. I know it's too late for me to say anything now. It was Zhu Xiao who lied to me about being in danger, and I rushed over there. It's me who didn't hold back, but she and I were really just a one-night stand. She was the one who seduced me. I shook off his dirty hands without mercy, disgusted with him. Flies don't bite seamless eggs. Zhu Xiao seduced you, and you're no good either. Xavier was unforgiving. The moment I got the marriage license, I regretted it, and every day I spent with Zhu Xiao, I thought about you. Please, give me another chance, okay? Okay, we're going to pester to the end today, aren't we? I lifted my feet and wore exactly 8 centimeters of heels today, viciously poking towards Xavier's leather shoes. He frowned, still refusing to let go. Harder again, another hard kick. He let out a rip and finally let go of my hand. If you show up in my neighborhood again, I'll call the police. Shrugging that off, I left without looking back. The man who was going to help me with the exhibition was called Shen Yi, and I was surprised to see him. He wore a white shirt and black-framed glasses, and his whole person had a very bookish air. On the outside, they appear to be harmless teenagers. Hello, Miss Chen. With that bass, it's hard to imagine that he looks like a kid in person. He didn't have the cockiness of a businessman and was quick to negotiate. Many of my requests were met. Let's take a walk, the stars are pretty tonight. Shen Yi said. Sitting unannounced on the lawn, the stars spread out like shining pearls in the night. I love your painting of the boy and girl kissing with abandon under the stars, looking at each other with love in their eyes. I smiled bitterly. This was my work in college. It was painted after Xavier and I confessed our love for each other. When I put down the brush, I was happy and intoxicated with the throb of love. Where would I have predicted the mess we are in today? Just as he was about to open his mouth, he felt a pinprick of pain by his ankle as a snake scurried out. I was startled. Shen Yi reacted quickly, took off his clothes and waved them around, chasing away the snake. He looked worried, especially after seeing the cut on my ankle. Without a second thought, he picked me up across the room. "You've been bitten by a snake. I'm taking you to the hospital." Pressed against his strong chest, I couldn't help the redness in my ears. I have to say, this kid brother is in pretty good shape. When we got to the hospital, thankfully, the blood tested clean. After bandaging, the doctor prescribed medication and recommended that I be hospitalized for one night for observation. Shen Yi was very persistent, thinking that he was the one who caused me to be bitten, and insisted on staying with me all the time. He helped me and walked out of the clinic. "Yo, dangling my boyfriend while flirting with a dick, that's so you. Why are you hurt? Trying to act pathetic to win Shou's heart again? Learning from people, you can't learn my tricks even if you imitate them many times." It was Zhu Zhaoxiao. Half a year had passed since I had seen her, and her previous softness and pity had long since disappeared. The eyes revealed a deep hatred, as if they wanted to break me into pieces. I really don't want to take care of this woman, so I asked Shen Yi to help me go to eat. "You're not saying anything. Are you feeling guilty?" "I knew it. You pretended not to care when you got divorced, but you were already in contact with him in private, weren't you? Shameless slut." Her voice was shrill and attracted the attention of many people coming and going. Couldn't stand it anymore, and as I was about to crack up, a figure appeared, and Xavier's face deeply turned ugly when he saw Shen Yi beside me. He pulled Zhu Zhaoxiao and threw her with such force that Zhu Zhaoxiao fell to the ground with an unsteady center of gravity. Xavier pointed at Zhu Zhaoxiao's nose. "Heartthrob, you set me up that night. I wouldn't have gone out at all if you hadn't lied to me about people harassing you. Nor would I have slept with you." I don't know what really happened between them. It seems that Xavier already knows what kind of woman Zhu Zhaoxiao is. He regretted it and eventually realized it was better to have me as the original. I curled my lips and let out a contemptuous snort. Zhu Zhaoxiao's eyes were scarlet and she completely stopped pretending, and she angrily dragged Xavier to keep him away from me. "I come all this way to find you and this is how you treat me? You said that you love me, that you don't even want to be near this old woman Chen Yun, and that you will protect me for the rest of my life. Have you forgotten all that? See, that's how he disses me, old woman. It's ridiculous." Xavier's face turned blue. Raising her hand with a pop after a pop, she flung Zhu Zhaoxiao several crisp slaps. Zhu Zhaoxiao covered her face as she sat paralyzed on the ground, her face full of unbelief and tears rustling in her eyes. "We've broken up, don't ever follow me again." Xavier's gaze is as cold as ice. How he treated me in the beginning, now it is all fulfilled in Zhu Zhaoxiao. After the play was over, I gestured for Shen Yi to help me walk. "Wait!" Fu Changzhou walked towards me, just when I thought he was going to make a move on me again. His long, curled leg lowered, his knee falling to the ground. "Kneel down." His head was bowed to the dust, like a pious penitent prisoner. Dumbly, I begged. "Rhyme, will you love me again?" Hot tears flowed from his eyes, and I could be sure that, at this moment, he meant it when he said it. My ex-husband and ex-boss threw away all his face and dignity to get me back. He's betting on whether I'll go soft for him again. I shook my head and didn't leave a word behind, allowing Shen Yi to assist me in walking away. He forgets that my heart died a long time ago. While I was hysterical and he looked unconcerned, he was full of cold dislike when my face changed and became unlike me. It's already, like, dead. "Eat more." Shen Yi brought over a very large plate of food. The concern in his eyes was unmistakable. "I'll make you look funny." "It's okay, I can see that he made a mistake and still doesn't want to miss you, ugly looking and wanting to be beautiful. Where in God's name is that good? Every man, for his choices, pays a price. That's life." Pfft, I almost spit out my food. The kid brother is quite old-fashioned in his speech. Compared to this face of his, the genus is a bit cutthroat. The mood was, all of a sudden, much more soothing. After more than a month of planning, my painting exhibition is finally underway. Surprisingly, it has garnered a lot of favorable comments from professional artists in the industry. I realized that Shen Yi was already the director of a famous local art gallery at a young age. I couldn't have been able to carry it out so quickly without his help. The last night of the painting show, a man walked in. He stopped in front of one of the paintings. That painting shows a couple kissing passionately. They burned each other's most beautiful years and dedicated themselves to each other's most sincere love. All of this, unfortunately, changes over time. Below the painting, the author left a comment. I share the breeze and the moon, all of us are just passing through on Earth. The man arched his back, his form trembling with small sobs. At this moment, he finally accepted the truth. The woman he hurt no longer loves him. He is going to pay the most painful price for the choices he has made. 3 months later, I was sitting on a plane to France. Luckily, I was successful in applying to study at an art school in Paris. This is my dream school and I'm about to start a whole new life. The heart is nervous and expectant. No, I spilled my coffee by accident. I couldn't find a tissue for a moment. At that moment, my neighbor handed me a packet of paper. His hands were long and clean and bony. Thanks. I took it. Uh-huh. Why does this hand and the black watch on it look so familiar? I looked into the man's face. Shen Yi was facing me, the corners of his lips drawn up, his eyes like the moon, as if they were full of stars. What a coincidence. Yeah, what a coincidence.